So up next, we have Andrew Batchelor, who runs Dundee Culture. When I first met Andrew, I was expecting a cool guy in his 20-odds. Turns out I met a really cool guy who was 2 days away from his 18th birthday, who had been doing Dundee Culture since he was 13, is that correct? 12. There you go. That's absolutely amazing. I think it just goes to show that you can have passion for anything. If you pursue it, you will make something absolutely incredible that people will love. I'm just going to bring up his presentation and you will hear from him now. Please welcome Andrew.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me here this morning. My name's Andrew Batchelor. My name's Andrew Batchelor. I'm 18 and I'm Dundee's youngest ambassador, and I'm also a V&A design champion for the new V&A. I've been named one of the top 10 young digital leaders in the United Kingdom, and I've also been named a finalist in the Young Scot Awards, and I was born with a number of disabilities, including hemiplegia, which is a form of cerebral palsy, also autism, anxiety, which I hope isn't getting the better of me this morning, because obviously I keep, every time I'm at a conference, I always have to mention that, because I get a bit like mixed up and everything. So I hope that doesn't get the better of me this morning. So yeah, so I run Dundee Culture, and it's basically a platform promoting Dundee, which showcases Dundee to the world, and it's a good platform to kind of promote the city and how it adapts to like change, and how like promoting the city as a whole, and that's what I want to kind of that's what I want out of Dundee Culture. So so the whole point of Dundee Culture is to promote Dundee as a cultural city worldwide, and I've got a lot of audience, and the followers for Dundee Culture range from at least a combined total of 16,000 followers on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Facebook is the largest, as you can see, and it's that's the biggest platform. I started out on Facebook, and it came across as a very good kind of platform for Dundee Culture to be on. There's so many people from around the world that come and see this on Facebook, and also Twitter's a good platform as well for me. That's grown quite considerably well actually over the course of the past year or so. And it's just been kind of growing, and Instagram's been probably growing the most, because these figures are quite out of date now, because this was when I got these figures during when I was speaking at my last conference at the Rotary only a few weeks ago. So it's now up to like 10,500, 5,500 and 1,700. So it's definitely grown since I spoke at my last conference. So it's amazing to see how many people follow Dundee Culture. So it's different. It ranges from different numbers, and that's something that I feel is quite amazing to see how it's grown. So this is Dundee Culture's outreach. I've got a combined total of 7 million visitors over the course of the past 5 years. 4 million of those visitors have came from this year alone, and that may contribute to the reasons for that is because of the V&A opening, and also the city growing as a kind of more people come to the city to see what's on offer, and it's just all that is helping Dundee Culture grow to a significant number. And this is calculated from my Facebook Insights, Twitter analytics, and this is done on a monthly basis to kind of get to know about letting people see how many people follow Dundee Culture. And I always publish these publicly to let people know how many people follow it, and I feel like it's quite important to kind of show this, because to have an audience is quite important to, if you want to grow something, and like people pass it on and it continues to grow, and then it's a word of mouth thing, and it kind of helps me to know how many people follow it. So Yeah, so these are some of the countries that follow Dundee Culture. It ranges from here in the United Kingdom to the United States, going to places like Iraq, China, Japan, all these places you would not really expect to be associated with a small city. So it's quite a lot of countries, 47 of them, and it's grown quite considerably quite well. And I feel like this is something that will hopefully continue to grow itself, and more people are coming to visit Dundee Culture as Dundee Culture continues to grow to a point where people are coming to see what's going on. More visitors are coming to the city because of the V&A and kind of like the things relating to that. So it's definitely growing, and I'm proud to see to a point where loads of people from around the world are seeing what's happening in a small city. So these from Scotland, this is just some of the main cities that follow Dundee Culture. Obviously Dundee is the largest of all of them. So yeah, there's a lot of Dundee fans, and there's also people from Edinburgh, Glasgow, Perth, Aberdeen, Inverness and Stirling that follow Dundee Culture as well. And it's also quite important to tell that people from the 47 countries could be like expats who are originally born in Dundee who've moved, and that's it kind of helps to see what's going on back home when they're not there, and see what's actually happening every day and knowing like what's going on. So yeah, so this is just some of the numbers that have came from Dundee Culture. So from Scotland alone. So it's quite a lot from Scotland. So yeah, and so I also look at how many people come and visit Dundee Culture through demographics, which is gender, age, all this sort of stuff. And what I've calculated through is that on Facebook, we've got 62% of Dundee Culture's fans on there are women, 37% are men, and that's really an age range of 35 to 44. And on Twitter, we've got 51% of Twitter fans, which are men, and 49% are women, aged 35 to 44 for men, which is the largest category. And on Instagram, the most popular group is 25 to 34-year-olds, and that's mostly men as well, 53% to 47%. So I calculate this just to kind of get to know like who I target, and I feel like that's quite important to kind of get across to see how many people follow Dundee Culture. So yeah, I started the purpose of me starting Dundee Culture was originally to support Dundee's UK City of Culture bid, and I was on Facebook and I recognised that I found out that Dundee were bidding for it, and what I didn't realise was that I didn't think there was any like social media campaign for it, but I was wrong. I got contacted by Julie Neeson from Creative Dundee, and she kind of thought my work was done by a university student, judging by the graphics I did on Facebook. So, and this was me when I was meeting the bid team for the first time together. This was at Fleet Collective, which is now sadly kind of closed up, but I got to meet quite a few amazing individuals, including Gillian, Lyle, Bruce, Stuart Murdoch, and my mum's there as well, to me. And so this was the core reason of me starting Dundee Culture. And so they thought my work was done by a university student when I was only 12. So it's definitely something that quite shocked them, and they didn't realise I was actually a schoolboy actually doing this. So it was a very good experience, and unfortunately Dundee didn't win it, but that kind of opened up new doors for me. And I became the youngest person in Dundee to hold the Queen's Baton ahead of the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, and it was a huge honour, and it's a day that I'll never forget, and I consider it probably one of the greatest achievements of my life, because it won't happen again for hopefully a long time, but it's definitely something that will kind of carry on in my life, and I'm privileged to hold it. My mum was greeting that day. You were too you were too upset, but you were proud though, and that was probably one of the funniest parts of that day as well. So my family were there to support me, and it was just an amazing experience, and it's something that I probably wouldn't do again in my life if Glasgow or any part of Scotland don't host it again, the Commonwealth Games. So. What else happened was I was named by Young Scot as 4 young digital leaders who have rode the tech road, and that was alongside people from the United States, Pakistan, and I think Kenya, and I was the only Scottish person in that list, and this list was done by Young Scot. So it was quite something, and it was so amazing to be named in that. And I didn't realise I was named in that because I was told on Twitter, and it was funny when I found out. It's like, what? It's just all over the place, and it was amazing. And then last year I was named in a list of 10 top digital leaders in the United Kingdom. And I was the only one of 2 Scots named in that list, and it was a huge honour, and I feel like it's something that's quite important to kind of show that young people can actually do stuff in digital marketing, technology, all this sort of stuff, and to be named in the list was a huge honour, and it was definitely something to kind of be proud about. So this year's been recognised as the Year of Young People in Scotland, and so I want to play my part in this. So I wanted to create a project promoting young voices of Dundee, and these are just some of the people in there that I've wrote about. One including my friend Callum Christie, who he runs his own YouTube channel. He was born into a family who were drug addicts, and he kind of turned his life around when he started doing the things that he loved. And he's an amazing guy, and he's been a great mate. But he kind of shows that even if you turn your life around from something negative, you can turn it into a positive. So I wanted to write about that. And that was similar to Chelsea Cameron, who is a very influential figure here in Dundee. She's been quite associated with quite a lot of young people as well, mentoring young people and getting to know, to help other young people. Because she was similar to Callum. She was brought up in a drug addict family, but she wrote a letter saying, like thanking her parents for not letting her be where she is, and she told them kind of an example that they can use, showing that you don't need to be in that situation of being in the same position as your parents, and that's amazing to kind of write about as well. But I've also wrote about Jed Alexander, who is a tennis player from Dundee. He has been invited to a tennis academy in Sweden, which is run by Stan Wawrinka's coach, and basically he had to raise up money for to attend this, so I helped him promote his stuff, and he needed to fundraise £2,000 to head there. When I wrote an article on him, he only raised about £150. Over a week later, because of the influence of Dundee Culture, he managed to reach that goal. So it was incredible, and that's Dundee Culture's influence. It's helped these young people get presence in the media. Like going back to Callum, after I wrote the article on him, the Evening Telegraph, the Courier, the Daily Record, and the BBC News and all that, they got in contact with him. So it was kind of a good foot in the door for all these young people. And a lot of people ranging from media, sport, musicians, and kind of like designers, and even to the extent of a 10-year-old, Drew Marr, who is selling comics worldwide from the UK to the US to Australia to all these different places, and he's only 10. So it was amazing to see how many creative young people are there in Dundee, and so yeah, and it's amazing to see how many people this city's got to offer. And also, if I also say I've also done other projects alongside this, including Dundee's Women, which kind of looks at women from the city who have contributed to like cultural stuff, to what contributions they've done to the city, to kind of celebrate 100 years of women getting the vote for the first time. So I wanted to do that, and what influence the women have in the city. So I wanted to do that. And I've also started a new project ahead of Armistice Day to show what impact the Great War had on Dundee during World War One. So I've been doing a lot of those stories as well alongside the Dundee's young people. So as I said at the start, I've been named I'm a Young Scot Awards nominee in the Year of Young People category, and it's a huge honour to be named in that, and I feel like it's just a big honour because I'm only one of 3 people from Dundee to be named in this award ceremony, and I'm looking forward to see it. And I'm going at the end of this month, so hopefully we'll find out, and I'm looking forward to meeting other finalists there, and I'm looking forward to it. So, and I've also been nominated for the Make a Difference Culture category at the Dundee Inspire Awards, which, as you know, is in the next 10 days from now. And the Community Spirit Awards I won back in 2015. So what I've done with Dundee Culture has been recognised by quite a few several organisations, groups, and non-profit organisations. So to be named finalist for these awards has been a huge honour, and I can't wait to see what happens in the near future with that. So what I do with Dundee Culture, and this is kind of like for if you are interested in like doing stuff with social media in this aspect, is this is what I do with Dundee Culture, and this is what makes it quite good to engage with audiences. Is visual communication is what I use the most to engage audiences, and it's quite important for this. So I use photos, videos, slideshows, all these sort of stuff to kind of convey what's going on in the city, and that can range from like what's going on like with latest news on like the V&A, what events are going on, all this sort of stuff, and that kind of engages audiences. Normally a post would normally get about 7,000 to 10,000 views on Dundee Culture, and that's mainly because of the visual communication I do use for that. And what I've also been doing recently, I've been starting a podcast series where I have been interviewing a lot of people from Dundee relating to culture and organisations and that, and how they can fit into like what's going on in the city. And my latest podcast was with Linda Gibson from Almackton College of Higher Education. And that was quite a good conversation we had, because it was about talking about diversity in Dundee and what impact it has on the rest of the city, and it was amazing to talk to her about that. And this is the kind of thing I've done with other people as well, including like creative people and musicians, all this sort of stuff. So it's definitely something that I want to continue to expand on, and I feel like that's quite an important way to continue. Podcasts are a great way to expand on what you want to do, and also more and more people are listening to podcasts, so it's a great way to engage and increase your audience as well, and that's working well with Dundee Culture. And also I write and blog a bit as well. So this is just one of the recent things I've been doing. Like Bonfire Night in Dundee was quite good, because there was a lot of social media posts in there and people kept sending me stuff. So I wanted to put a Twitter moment together to show what people have been sending, and that's quite what I like about doing Dundee Culture is I let the audience and visitors and all that take part in it as well. I feel like it's not, I just don't want it to be me, but I want to get audiences involved as well. So I want them to take part in it, and works well with me writing and blogging about what they do and sharing their events, and this is all this sort of stuff. And I do this through writing and blogging, and it's a great way to go. And obviously, as this is the Student Publication Association, it's quite good for like them to know kind of ways to write in blog to engage audiences, and that's very good. And what I've learned using social media, it's a great way to communicate in the 21st century, and it continues to advance. But it doesn't beat face-to-face communication, because it's a great way to get to know people. And meeting people is very important, but if you want to reach a good outcome, I feel like face-to-face communication is very good as well as social media. What I've also learned is what's going on in Dundee using social media, and it's good to have like what's going on and how it can get to a point where new things are happening, and social media is good for that as well, and I've learned a lot of stuff. I've also learned to stick to deadlines because it's quite important to do that. I'm guilty of being a bit off it, but I'm trying my best. Ahead for this presentation, I was kind of worried about getting stuff in at the right time, so if I stick to deadlines, I feel like that's quite important, because if somebody sends me event information, I need to post that at a time before it happens. So I feel like that's quite an important thing to know about, and so it's definitely significant to kind of know what's happening before it does happen. And I feel like also adapting to change is a very important part where I learn with social media, because over the course of the past 5 years of doing Dundee Culture, things have changed on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all these sort of stuff, and it's something that I've had to learn to adapt to, including like new additions and new features, and how these can fit into what I'm doing with my work, and that's something I've also learned. So I do get used to it, and new stuff is quickly working well for Dundee Culture. So it's something that I feel like is quite important to know. So the communications I use in this is face-to-face communication, which I feel like is important. As Dundee Cultures continue to grow to a point where it's a way to start into a business, I've had more confidence growing into using face-to-face communication, and that includes today, and I feel it's quite important. It's probably the most important if you want to kind of meet people, and because you get to get the conversation out literally there when you're meeting the person. So I feel like it's quite important. Email messaging I feel like is another important thing, because you can just quickly send stuff, and you can get things done quickly, passing information more efficiently, and getting to know more about stuff that's going on quickly by messaging people and getting to know like what's on offer and that. So, and also using phones is also a good way of communication, similar to email messaging. It's a great way to expand on how you can get in touch with people quickly and also efficiently. And as Dundee Culture has grown, it is definitely something that I feel that I've been using a bit more, and I hope that does continue, because I've been using phones quite a lot more. So it's definitely something important to kind of what I do, and this is the kind of stuff I am doing at the moment. And like I say, as the Dundee Culture continues to expand, I'm using a lot of these things a lot more. So what I do is I kind of see the advantages and disadvantages of using social media. So social media is definitely a great way to learn more about what's going on, and you get to see what's happening around you, you get to see what's going on at the point where getting to know like information that's been sent straight to you on your phone, so you don't need to like buy newspapers or walk to the shops. It's just literally on your phone, and it's just there. So as well, social media is a great way for interacting with others, taking part in conversations, learning more, and getting to know people, and getting to interact with other people on one subject that everyone would be interested in, or something that people would be interested in. And there's some disadvantages of using social media. I feel like for Dundee Culture, posting on social media is quite tricky sometimes, because you've got to know when the audience would be watching, and that's something I've kept an eye on for a wee while now, because if you post stuff on, like, for example, Sundays, which are quite quiet, you're not going to get a lot of audience figures there, and that's something that I want to kind of increase. But it's something, if you want to start on something that you would need to think about doing if that happens, and you might need to take time for that to get to know about how many people come and see your page or come and see Twitter or Instagram. But it's something that I've kept learning with doing Dundee Culture. And despite the good use of social media, you need to be careful what you post. It's mostly positive stuff that Dundee Culture posts, but I can sometimes post something and it gets a negative feedback, and I try not to head down that path. And I really want to kind of continue to do that, and I want to continue to promote positive posts on what's going on in Dundee, and showing that there's a lot of amazing things that are happening in the city, because there's a few people out there that kind of mock Dundee for its image and saying it's a dump and that. It used to be considered that, but it's definitely changed a lot since then. But that's what I need to be careful of, to post something that doesn't really have a negative feedback or backlash. So that's something that I need to keep thinking about. So there's some advantages and disadvantages of using social media. So for myself in the future, I hope to build Dundee Culture as a brand. I'm hoping to attract businesses. I'm going to hopefully establish a new headquarters for Dundee Culture, which is in my man's shed in the garden. And the main thing is always showcasing Dundee to the world. And these 4 points are very important for the expanding Dundee Culture in the future. And I want to attract more businesses, because Dundee Culture's, I'm going to launch something on the website, which will be a kind of guide to know what's going on, the latest hotels, like what to do, all this sort of stuff will be on directly. So I'm hoping to attract more businesses in that case. And always showcasing Dundee to the world is what Dundee Culture is best at, and I really want to continue that. So I want to say a big thank you to the Student Publication Association for inviting me to speak here today, and here at the University of Dundee. And thank you very much for listening. And if you've got any questions, just feel free to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Oh my gosh, I think on a mini scale, all of our publications do something like this. Appreciate not all of us have thousands and millions of views and likes on Facebook. But it does show that on a mini scale, when you start off something, and it is difficult when you're a team of students, because the committees will hand over every year, people will graduate, people will leave. It's not as easy to maintain that goal. But if you do have a vision in mind that you want to pass on, maybe the next generation of your editorial teams will be open to it. Maybe build something with them. It is coming up to the new year, so I don't know exactly when all of you will hand over. I know for us in Dundee, the majority of them will hand over kind of January, February, March sort of time. So if it is coming up, have a plan, have something like this, because you could be the next big publication in your city. And actually, a lot of the big people press, as we always think of it, like the Courier if you're from Dundee, and likely others from DC Thompson around Scotland, you see that as the ideal, the place that you want to be. And actually, they look a lot at your portfolio when you start writing to begin with either student journalism or your own blogs or whatever it might be. So do reach out to people. Don't always expect people will come to you. Is another thing that we've learned definitely with the SPA, that a lot of people don't really know about the SPA. And when I was reaching out to different companies to come along and speak today, many of them said, well, I'm glad that you came up, because I would have never really known where to find you. And it's finding all these little hubs of people. You never know who you'll meet. So for now, that is the last talk for before lunch. So we'll do a quick break. I say quick, a couple of hour break. We've got all of our food coming in shortly. If you please join us again, especially if you're online, join us again after lunch. It'll be the awards. I'm not taking bribes, but I do have the certificates on me. So awards will be after lunch. Then we've got 2 more speakers as well, and then we've got a Q&A panel. So hopefully see you after lunch.